Today, we are going to be talking about professional learning and professional development. Welcome to Chalk It Out, where we spill the tea on what it's really like to be an educator. Hi, I'm Mallory.
And I'm Greta.
So, according to the Institute of Educational Science, their website stated $18 billion are spent annually across the United States on teacher professional development. That is like mind-blowing to me because that is so much money. So my question is this really transforming teacher instructional practice? Is it really helping our students? So today we're going to kind of dive into what does professional learning and what does professional development look like so that families understand what are teachers doing during this time. Because I know as a parent, it can be hard to find daycare for your children on these days where there are no schools and teachers are in their school buildings. All right. So one thing about professional development, that is more usually around seminars and one-time workshops, where professional learning is more collaborative. Usually you have the same focus throughout either the entire year or whatever your sessions are. Sometimes there are up to, I would say, 9 professional release days in a school year. I've had some districts where there were only 4 to 5. So it just depends on your state and your district. But almost every district I have ever heard of has professional learning for teachers just to build their capacity on their instructional practices. All right, so part 2 of this podcast, I will get into more about what makes a successful professional learning. And so that will be in part 2. But today we're really going to just stick to what does it look like for an educator during these days? All right, so when we think about one of the states that I worked at, I was a lead teacher, and so I would go into district meetings usually after school. They pay those teachers just a little bit more money than your regular everyday teacher. So I would attend those district meetings. Then I would bring that new learning to my school, either within my grade level team or to the whole school, and I would present that information to them. Where at my current district, we have different options. One of those options is you're at your school the entire day and the school builds out your professional learning plan for the day. There are also days where the district leads professional release days and then they provide those learning experiences to teachers. There's also times where it could be half and half. So half the time you're at your school building, the other half you're at a district PD. So let's go over what a day could look like for a teacher. When there is a school-based day where you're at your school the entire day, there usually is some kind of, 5 to 15 minute fun connection. Maybe you're playing a sport, maybe you're doing an interactive activity. Sometimes there is breakfast, which always makes teachers extremely happy in the morning. So just some time to communicate, collaborate, just kind of share how you're doing in the morning with your staff that you might not normally get to talk with. So it's a really nice morning. Then we get into going over the agenda for the day so that everyone understands what's coming and the focus for that day. It's usually around your 3 big rocks, which come from your 90-day plan. And again, those are based on what your school decided back in August on what the focus was going to be. And that is always determined by student data. So we look at CMAS scores, we look at iReady data, we look at the prior year's growth and come up with usually 2 to 3 big rocks. One usually is around emotional social learning and the other 2 are around academics. So within that, we always want to make sure everything feels aligned throughout the day and connected to your plan. So there's always that same focus throughout the entire school year. And then I would say there's normally 2 to 3 sessions that could last 1 hour to 1.5 hours. Just kind of depends on that facilitator. And so you usually will have one on each of the big rocks. There's usually breaks in between. Within those sessions, you're going to go through that whole PD process with the planning, collaboration, reading, and then applying that new knowledge into your planning time. Again, we'll get into that in that next podcast. Then when we think about planning that day, there's also always time to look at student work or student data because that really drives our instructional decisions and gives teachers time to plan based on the needs of what they're seeing in their classroom. When there is a district full day, very similar. However, it gives an opportunity for teachers to collaborate with other teachers in the school district at their same grade level or at their same role, which is actually a really nice time to kind of hear from, ooh, what's working at your school, what's not working, so you can apply that knowledge within your role. So I do think it is very nice to chat with others, learn from others in your same role. They usually will have learning based on the curriculum that the district is learning. They look at, again, student work and student data. So there's expectations set up on what data to bring in to those sessions. So you can really analyze and think about the root cause and some barriers to what is happening within your classroom. And then it also provides a time to look up upcoming assessments like benchmarks or end of the unit assessments, things like that, so that everyone within their role is on the same page on their look fors and success criteria. Some districts actually will hire outside resources to come and facilitate professional development. I attended one session quite a few years back where we had choice sessions, and I loved that. So it was a psychologist and she had scaffolds on executive functioning. It was amazing and probably the best PD that I've ever had because she had real world examples. She had theory to back it up. And then I got to implement quite a few practices within my own classroom and I saw success within my students. So, highly recommend having some choice sessions within there. Teachers have a difficult job and they have to have lots of different hats. So, these days really are crucial to support teachers and helping them think through their thought process on why they're making instructional decisions. They get to collaborate with others, they get support in achieving their goals. And then they should also learn a new skill every time they're in a session to take on in their classroom. Just like my favorite PD, I was able to take on that learning, implement it in my classroom, and I saw success. It helps everyone be aligned and on the same page within their school and within the district, and that just helps with equity across the school building. It also, of course, at the end of the day, should raise student achievement because we're looking at data, we are seeing what is working and what might need some change or modification. So I am curious to hear your thoughts on professional learning, professional development. What is supportive? What is not? On the next podcast, again, I will talk about creating a successful professional learning day. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thanks.